Adam Christ from MyMMANews.com being joined by Andrew Cruz. He is set to take on Kevin Chung. It's going down at Stellar Fights 47 on October 16th at the Civic Center in Salisbury, Maryland. It's one of Stellar's biggest shows to date, one of Maryland's biggest shows to date, and my man Andrew Cruz will be fighting on that very card. First and foremost, Andrew, what's going on, brother? How are you?
Good. Just ready to make weight already, man. The cut's kind of getting to me, but that's part of the fight game. So but we're all trained up, all the hard work's done, just waiting for that weigh-in.
That's the biggest pain in the ass part is the weight cutting, right? The fight's the fun part.
Yeah, I wish they would have weigh-ins like the same day so people couldn't cut as hard, but that's half the fight is who can get the lowest, the healthiest, then come in the next day and kick some ass.
Yeah. So this will be your first fight back in a little bit. So how does it feel to finally get back into the cage, man? I know fighters, they like to stay active, but this is your first fight back since 2019, if I'm not mistaken. How does it feel to get back?
Yeah, I've been wanting to get back for a while. That after my last fight in 2019, I was supposed to have another one in the spring of 2020, but I had an injury from the fight in 2019. So I've been kind of out of it. And then COVID hit, so all the promotions were shut down for a while, and that sucks. And now we're getting back into, 2021. I'm trying to hop back in there and, show people what I got.
So, I mean, this matchup is absolutely incredible if you look at it on paper. You have a one championship vet versus a Bellator vet, and they're both facing off against each other. So, I mean, two prime promotions on one of the biggest regional circuits, on the scene right now, and it's just the fantastic matchup by Brad Dalton. Couldn't be done any better. So, my question is, how do you feel about the matchup?
It's a great matchup. If you look at my record, I'm like hunting for sharks. I want the big fish. And so I'm always looking for the toughest people to fight. I don't want any 0-0s or 0-2s to fight. I want people that like stand a chance, but people are like, oh, he might lose. And so Kevin Chung's got a great record. He's fought some tough opponents. So it's worth the work to, do all this training and actually have someone that's going to be hard to beat, hard to compete against.
And talking about a little bit about the layoff, but you were riding a 3-fight win streak before your last fight, in which ultimately suffered the unanimous decision loss. But getting back after that, like you said, there was an injury in that fight, but some of the gains that you got, because like they say, it's never a loss as long as you're learning something. So
Yeah,
what were you able to take? Exactly. What were you able to take away from that loss, especially with the vast amount of time off, apply in the gym and get back and better than ever?
So the biggest thing with that loss, I had opportunities to get the takedown in the last fight, but I didn't trust my guillotine defense. Like he seemed like he knew what he was doing and he was practicing to counter that takedown with a guillotine defense. So I trust my jiu-jitsu. I trust my defenses. And I'm not going to get sucked up into someone else's game. He had me kind of lulled into, pitter-pattering with strikes, but I need to mix more takedowns in there, more elbows, more knees, make the fight more dynamic. I won't fall into someone else's game again. So that's kind of what I took away from my last loss.
Are you looking to stay active following this fight?
Yeah, I would like to stay active. I got some personal things going on right after this fight. We'll see how that works out. I don't know if I can say too much about that yet, but no, I'd be anxious to fight the next weekend, honestly. As long as I don't take any damage, I'm down to, fight once a month. The only thing that's keeping me from being as active as I want to be is my weight. And that's my own fault because I'm like every other American. I like to eat, burgers and pizza and ice cream and fries. I just got to get that under control and take it seriously as a professional and keep my weight in check so I can take these short notice opportunities.
Is that something that and this is almost like a personal question, but is it something that after the fight you like to celebrate, you like to eat, do your thing, and that might be what sets you off from taking the short notice fights?
Yeah, it might come from wrestling a little bit. Wrestling in high school, you're always cutting weight. And then after wrestling season's over, you just kind of go crazy and go ham, And what I didn't realize is, I'm getting older. My metabolism is slowing down. When I first started fighting, my first amateur year, 12 months of being an amateur, I had 9 fights. Wow. And the reason I was able to do that because I had that speedy metabolism. I was a young kid. I could eat a whole pizza. Nothing would happen. And now I can't do that anymore. I need to watch what I eat. I need to take care of my body. and I have all the skill. I just need to keep the weight under control. So I'm kind of learning to be an adult about it and just take care of my eating.
So we live in a tech savvy world. So I mean, you can look up your opponents, you can look up what they're doing, and especially with social media, there's a ton of people that they like to promote themselves, almost build their own brand. So my question is, have you looked into your opponent Kevin Chung for this fight?
I've watched a few YouTube videos on him for his fights in one, and I've only watched them once. The biggest thing going to the fight is one, we've already talked about this, but I'm worried about my weight and making weigh-ins because I've never missed a weigh-in ever. And then two, I kind of like to see the person's body style. Like, are they a long, tall, lanky fighter that wants to keep the distance? Are they short and stocky like myself that wants just to get in there and smash? Like, I kind of like, look at that in the fighter. And then after that, it's just I work on bettering myself. I'll see a few things that he does and likes to do, but more like it's my fight. Like, I'm going to be a better fighter, and whether it goes to the ground, whether it says stay standing, like I just need to be ready to take it where it needs to be.
So I'm curious. You say you've never missed weight, but you've actually brought up the weight, twice in the interview. So are you actually a little bit nervous about the making weight?
No, I've always said this, and I guess I should say it out loud for the first time. Like, if I ever miss weight, that's my last fight. That's the last time I'm fighting, because that means I didn't take it seriously enough to make weight. I signed a contract and made a promise that I would, be under the agreed weight limit, and that's what I plan to do. Something I personally I take it very personally if an opponent misses weight, because both me and him put a lot of work into this to make this fight happen, and for the commission to deny it, or I think I forgot who said it, but it's like sanctioned cheating if you go in there and you're 2/10 over. You know what I mean? Like, you could have pushed yourself that much harder, or even 2 pounds over to make weight. So my build 5'6", there's no reason I should make 145. I'm not worried about it. I just know how bad the sauna is going to be, and the hot tub and the running. I just keep thinking about like the day before weigh-ins, because I only hit 145 for maybe an hour or two. I barely touch 145, and then I jump right back up in weight.
Is it something, I mean, I've noticed this, especially talking with wrestlers, is the weight is something that they take so serious because they're so used to it. They're so conditioned they're spending their entire lives making a certain number. Whereas I'm not saying other disciplines won't respect the weight as much, but I'm curious, with your wrestling caliber and your wrestling background, is that why you put so much emphasis on the weight?
I think so. I mean, in wrestling, if you're overweight, guess what? You don't wrestle. That's it. There's no negotiations of 20% of your purse or whatever. Like, that's it. You're done. And it's embarrassing. You let your team down. You let yourself down. Like, you put in all this work, and now you're not getting points on the board because they're, missing a 130. In high school, I wrestled 130 and 135. So they're missing a 130 pounder or 135 pounder. Like, you let a lot of people down when you miss weight. And so I think I take it serious.
Yeah. So it's just you're being open and you're upfront and honest about it. It's not necessarily you're worried. You're bringing it up because it's a very real thing. You're very used to it from your wrestling background. So it's not even like you're worried about it. You're just being very realistic. You know what takes going into it. Sitting in the sauna sucks. All of those things. So it's just prepping for the inevitable, which I totally understand. So
it's a mental game. It really is.
I've only had to make weight once. That was good enough for me, brother. So I will let the fighting be for you guys and you guys alone. But like I said off of the last question, considering we do live in a tech-savvy world, and this will be your first fight back in a little bit of time, how do you plan to take out Kevin Chung on October 16th?
Basically, they call me Andrew Hurricane Cruz. I'm the Hurricane because of my fight style. Along with making weight, I do a lot of running in my camps, a lot. And I'm known for my cardio and conditioning. So it's going to be nonstop pressure. And it can make someone who's very skilled and used to, what should I say, like making the fight his game, whether he wants to have range or a nice slow jiu-jitsu match, or I'm going to be nonstop going. And so that will kind of confuse the person, and they're going to, lack in where they were usually skilled. and then I'll be able to take over from there. I kind of see it going to the ground. If I had to call it, I would guess second round armbar. When you punch people enough, they start giving up limbs, and you can just find those surprise arm bars. But that's just what I'm guessing.
So you're planning on applying the pressure early and then getting it to crack in the second round with that arm bar. Am I correct in that?
Yeah, that's what I think is gonna happen. Anything can happen. Is MMA, you know. I might land a knockout. I might land, you know, some crazy twister. I don't know. It's anything can happen.
So after this fight, you're looking to stay active. Do you have any idea where you're looking to go after this fight? Again, you said you have some personal plans, but do you have a time frame of when you want to get back?
That kind of goes along with the stuff I don't know if I can talk about yet. But if it were up to me, I would be ready to go in a month, maybe 2 months. I know Stellar Fights, this is their first all pro show, if I understand. And so there's going to be a lot of eyes on us, a lot of coverage on this. So I think it's going to blow me up. After my LFA fight against John Neal, I got a call from Prospect Fighting Championships, which was in Canada, the one that I lost. So someone across the country wanted me to fight over there after seeing that fight. So I think by breaking away from Idaho and Utah's local promotions and kind of going around state to state across the country, it opens up doors for me for other promotions, bigger promotions, more people, more eyes on me of like what I'm doing here in the featherweight division.
Tons of eyes on this card, tons of amazing pros on this card that are going to be bringing also eyes on the card, you as well. So, I mean, this card is setting up to be something fantastic. I'm going to be announcing that evening, so I can't wait for the night. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. I can't wait. I can't wait to see your fight in particular. And again, man, I appreciate you taking the time, man. It's been a pleasure chatting tonight.
Yeah, totally. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, there he goes, Andrew Cruz. He's taking on Kevin Chung. It's going down at Stellar Fights 47 in the featherweight division, October 16th. It's going down in Salisbury, Maryland at the Civic Center. You don't want to miss this matchup. You don't want to miss this card. Stellar Fights' biggest card to date. For Andrew Hurricane Cruz, I'm Adam Christ. Make sure you keep it locked to MyMMANews.com for all your fight news.